All right, think we got everyone? All right. Good morning, Tampa Prep. So at this point, every student in Tampa Prep has done a declamation. It's truly a rite of passage that I've witnessed. So give yourself a round of applause. And with each declamation, I hope you understood the power of words. Words motivate, inspire, and help people become their best selves. Words allow for new thoughts, allow individuals to think and act on change. Words crystallize perceptions. They shape our beliefs. The power of words helps create and define who we are and ultimately help shape our world and society that we live in. Today, I ask everyone to first take out your earpods, put them away, turn off your phones, put them away, and then take some time to listen to our grade level winners on their words of power. Please listen, respect, think critically, and have an open mind to the words that these individuals will focus on within their declamations. And to kick off the 2023 Tampa Prep Declamation Assembly, we'd like to have Ethan Bradley come up first. You want to go up front there or here?
I'll go here.
Okay. Hey, Ethan, what's your, what's the poem that you're doing?
It's called The Nap Taker by Shel Silverstein.
The Nap Taker by Shel Silverstein. Go on, Ethan.
No, I did not take a nap. The nap took me off the bed and out the window, far beyond the sea, to a land where sleepyheads read only comic books and lock their naps in iron safes so that they don't get took. As soon as I came to that land, I also came to grief. The people pointed at me, shouting, "Where's the nap, you thief?" They took me to the courthouse. The judge put on his cap and said, "My child, you are on trial for taking someone's nap." Yes, all you selfish children, you think just of yourselves and do not care if the nap you took belongs to someone else. It happens that the nap you took without a thought or care belongs to Bonnie Bolingbrook, who's sitting crying there. The jury cried, "You're guilty, yes, you're guilty as can be, but just return the nap you took and we might set you free." I did not take the nap, I cried. I give my solemn vow, and if I took it by mistake, I do not have it now. Oh, fiddle fudge, cried out the judge, your record looks quite sour. Last night I see you stole a kiss. Last week you took a shower. You beat your eggs, you whipped your cream at work, you punched the clock. You've even killed an hour or two. We've heard you darn your socks. Go lie down on your blanket now and cry your guilty tears. I sentence you to one long nap of 90 million years. And when the other children see this nap that never ends, no child will ever dare to take somebody's nap again.
Awesome job. Fantastic. Thank you, Ethan. Our next declamation presentation will be coming from Grant Gagoosh.
Once you reach high school, everything changes. Once you hit 9th grade, everything matters. Suddenly, you are placed under the watchful eye of colleges. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about the college admissions process and what it would take to get accepted into one of these Ivy League schools like Harvard, Yale, or Cornell. I want to be as prepared as possible going forward through the next 3 years. So I thought that I would take a look at some applications for people who got into these schools. I thought this sounded like fun. It wasn't, and you'll soon see why. Now, what I expected was for these applications to be impressive, showing that students participated in school activities, took extracurriculars, got great grades, all of the things that schools value in their students. What I got was not that. So first was Peyton. Now, right out of the gate, it says that she's in the IB program and qualifies as, quote, an AP scholar, a national AP scholar, and an AP scholar with distinction, because apparently those are 3 different things. It then goes on to say that she's interested in chemistry and medical research, pretty normal. Then the next paragraph begins with, Peyton recently worked the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Students of the Year campaign to help raise funds for blood cancer research. Peyton's team raised over $23,000. For the record, she's only 2, maybe 3 years older than all of us, and those are her credentials. At age 17, she's more qualified than most 40-year-olds. But who knows? Maybe that's just a fluke. Maybe there are some more reasonable ones. Maybe I'm overreacting. So the next one I looked at was Emma. And you know what she did? She rewrote Phillips Exeter's Greek textbook. So what's the point of all of this? Why am I sharing this? Well, I'm sharing it to prove a point. And that point is that college admissions and the exclusivity of it sucks. Not 20 years ago, Peyton and Emma would be able to get into any school that they applied to, which makes sense. They are incredibly talented. I can't say that I wrote the textbook that everybody at my school uses. The problem is that now those two aren't the zenith of a student's potential. You have to be better than them and countless others like them to get accepted into these schools. And for what? Just so that they can teach you the same math, the same history, the same English that you could learn anywhere else. Just because you don't live up to the inflated standards of these schools that specifically aim to accept as few people as possible doesn't mean you don't achieve your own personal zenith. A great education doesn't all come from what school you attend. You don't have to go to an Ivy League to be successful. Warren Buffett, the richest man in America, went to University of Nebraska. Or what about Dan Harmon, or Steven Spielberg, or David Letterman, or even Oprah? None of these people went to some fancy Ivy League, and now their name's known around the world. It all comes down to how you utilize it. if you take advantage of everything that your school offers, if you make sure to work hard and pursue what you're passionate about, then you will go out into the world infinitely more learned than someone who went to an Ivy League and gave zero effort. At the end of the day, school is what you make of it. So make the most of it that you possibly can. Thank you.
All right, give it up for Grant and Personal Zenith. Our next presenter is 7th grader Liz Moken. Liz, what is your declamation called?
A Piece from Wonder.
Okay. Do you want it up here or you're? All right, great.
The rest of September was hard. I wasn't used to getting up so early in the mornings. I wasn't used to this whole notion of homework. And I got my first quiz at the end of the month. I never got quizzes when Mom homeschooled me. I also didn't like how I had no free time anymore. Before, I was able to play whenever I wanted to, but now it felt like I always had stuff to do for school. And being at school was awful in the beginning. Every new class I had was like a new chance for kids to not stare at me. They would sneak peeks at me from behind their notebooks, or when they thought I wasn't looking. They would take the longest way around me to avoid bumping into me in any way, like I had some sort of germ that they could catch, like my face was contagious. In the hallways, which were always crowded, my face would always surprise some unsuspecting kid who maybe hadn't heard about me. The kid would make the sound you make when you hold your breath before going underwater, a little sound. This happened maybe 4 or 5 times a day for the first few weeks, on the stairs, in front of the lockers, in the library. 500 kids in the school. Eventually, every one of them would see my face at some time. And I knew after the first couple days that the word had gotten around about me. I can only imagine what they were saying about me. Actually, I'd prefer not even to imagine it. Thank you.
Awesome job. All right, our next upper school declamation presenter is Ian Suarez. Ian, what are you going to be talking to us about today?
I'm going to be talking to you about how superheroes inspire us. When you were a kid, did you have something you were obsessed with? I did. I loved superheroes. They consumed every waking minute of my life. And they still do, but superheroes are just the coolest thing. The idea of someone willing to put themselves through great hardships and tragedies just to protect the innocent and uphold justice, it's inspiring. And I personally have been inspired by 2 superheroes, Batman and Spider-Man, 2 of the most recognizable characters in the entire genre. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to unload my hyperfixation on these characters, and hopefully you can walk away with an idea of how they can inspire us to be better people in our everyday lives. I'll start with Batman. When I was a kid, my favorite cartoon to watch was Batman the Brave and the Bold. A lot more than other Batman properties, it focused more on his role in the superhero community. Every episode saw him teaming up with another superhero to stop a villain in his rogues gallery. And all of these heroes that he worked with admired Batman greatly. They respected him. They idolized him. Without any powers of his own, Batman had made people with world-shattering abilities think of him as their equal, or even their superior. With nothing but the hard work and dedication he put into becoming a vigilante. A lot of people know Batman is sort of the proof that you don't need superpowers to be a superhero, but not a lot of people appreciate that his first step to becoming a hero was just to improve himself. When you can't help others, you help yourself, and that positivity spreads to the world around you. All right, Spider-Man's turn. I don't know if any of you have ever picked up a Spider-Man comic, but if you have, it's immediately obvious that the whole superhero thing isn't treating him very well. Peter Parker's life sucks. I mean, the wall crawler has lost relationships, he's suffered through extreme poverty, he's watched his loved ones die, and he's suffered at the hands of countless villainous plots. But no matter how many times he gets knocked down, he always gets back up again. Because that's the most important thing about this character. He knows people depend on him to be a hero, and he knows that famous line, "With great power comes great responsibility." Spider-Man is the hope to keep on going, a hope in all of us, because seeing your dreams accomplished is just as great as knowing that New York City is safe once again, thanks to the efforts of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. There you have it, 2 prime examples of superheroes that inspire us to be better people. Batman shows us that by improving yourself, it will spread to the world around you and improve your ability to make a difference. And Spider-Man shows us that just by not giving up, you are being a hero. I hope these ramblings of a superhero nerd showed you that to be a hero, all you really need to do is spread hope and positivity in your everyday life. I've done my, sorry, it's not over yet, I'm sorry. I've done my part in telling you all this. Now it's your turn. I want you all to go out there and be a hero!
Great job, Spidey. Okay, our next presenter is from 8th grade, Ren Linsky. All right, Ren, what is your title, please, of your declamation? Can you read?
It's called Before You Waste Your Life by Jay Shetty. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It's not death we should fear. We should fear never beginning to live. When we die, our lifeline does this. And when we're alive, our lifeline does this." Notice that connects to our real experiences in life. Life is full of ups and downs. It means we're alive. Twists, turns, love, loss, happiness and sadness, success and failure. We experience extreme highs, peaks, and summits. And at the same time, experience the troughs and lows and submit. We laugh until it hurts, and we cry inside a little. Experience a few moments where we want it to stop and hope it's all over, but it just keeps going. The universe is always changing. We are always changing, but we want to remain the same. We settle for security, not recognizing that a flat lifeline means we're dead. Death looks like this. This is living. This isn't. In the journey of life, we pass pleasure and pain. There will be sunshine and rain. There will be loss and gain, but we must learn to move forward again and again. And remember, this morning, if you're healthy, you're happier than the 1 million people that won't survive this week. There is food in your fridge, shoes on your feet, clothes on your body, a bed to sleep on, and a roof over your head. You're richer than 75% of people in the world. And if you have a bank account, money in a wallet or a purse or coins in a jar, you're in the top 8% of the world's wealthiest. We cannot avoid the ups and downs, but we can change the way we see them. Because, as Wayne Dyer said, when we change the way we look at things, The things we look at change.
Awesome job. Our next upper school presenter is Eileen Edwards. Eileen, what's your declamation called?
We don't have a name, I'm not gonna say that, but I am gonna talk to you about all my self-portraits. I'm gonna start off by telling you that I cannot tell you how many times I've been told that tattoos were the worst idea on earth, but I still like the idea, partly out of spite, but mostly because the idea of carrying art with me at all times just sounded so incredibly cool. And when I found out I could make my own, oh my God, I had so many plans and ideas. It was never that the tattoos and designs I saw online weren't good enough, that they didn't show me what I needed to see. It's just that nothing could ever represent me as much as my own art does. See, every piece I make, it has meaning for me just because I made it. Even when I hate it, I appreciate what I can learn from it and my efforts. More importantly, every piece I do is a self-portrait. I put my energy into my creations, and they become a part of me. They become an extension of me, and so they are me. If I were to present to you a still life, I'm allowing you to see my subject exactly how I saw it. Any marks, flaws, imperfections, they show you where I was focusing at the time. Stepping back, noticing scale, color, form, indicates to you my stage of mind at different stages of work. Every piece I do has so much meaning just because of each of these individual parts coming together. My process and choices will always be uniquely mine, no matter who I create for. So let's say I tell you this piece lacks detail because I felt lazy. That could be true, but it could also mean disappointed, oh my gosh, excuse me. It could mean disappointed, it could mean sad, it could mean upset, it could just mean lazy. But the point is, my thoughts and my emotions, they have layers. And so my pieces do too, because my work, it is a part of me, it becomes me, it is me. And that is worth something to me. I am worth something to me. It's really important. And it's hard to say. It's hard to realize. It's hard to own, flaunt, live, and breathe. It's hard to take up the space I deserve. It's hard to say I am here. It's harder to do it alone. I'm not alone, obviously. There's tons of you here even. But at the end of the day, all I might have is myself. Throughout the day, I have so much more. I have things to take care of. I have places I care about. I have people who care about me. And that is hard to say, hard to realize, hard to live, breathe, flaunt, whatever. But I'm gonna do so the same way I do so for myself. I'm gonna do so with my many, many self-portraits. Each and every one important as me. When I draw, I attach a small piece of my mind to whatever my subject is. So if I draw you, I'm saying, allow me to appreciate you. Let me present you in the only way I know how. Let me put that piece of myself next to a piece of you, if only for a moment. And that could mean nothing. Maybe I was just bored in class and you happened to be sitting really still for once. Maybe I already had a photo of you and I decided to use it for reference. It could mean nothing. But even the nothing, the empty, the throwaway, hollow artwork, it has something. It has desire for improvement, desire for action, desire for more. And that is worth so much to me. Because each of those pieces, it is a part of me, it becomes me, it is me. I love all my artwork because of that worth. I'd say that the art, it's everything to me, but that's just not true. I have so much more. I have the flow of people around me. I have life. Gosh, I have life itself, and that's so incredible. That's so incredible. When I sit here, I look at life, I admire life's persistence. And that is why I create, because I want to chip away at life. I want to water it down to a state that can be consumed, pick at the layers. To tell you, when I reviewed life at large, this is what I came up with. I think that's pretty cool that I can do that with just a piece of paper or some cardboard. It means everything to me because each one of those pieces that I create, that I present to you, it is a part of me, it becomes me, it is me. Every single piece is protection. The stains and markings I gain from creating, they are my battle scars, and I wear them in the hall like this armor, protection from the noise, constant noise, the just everyday life. Even when I'm alone and the room is silent, I can practically feel it rotting me from the inside out. So I take this mess and I pour it out into nonsensical lines, forming something more tangible, something real. I'm left with proof I'm alive. Because each one of those pieces, it is a part of me, it becomes me, it is me. And that is worth something to me because I am worth something to me. So when I finally design my tattoos, when I finally feel the sting of layers of ink piercing into my skin, I'll know it's worth it. Because yes, I am more than worth it. Thank you.
Great job. And now for our last two from 12th grade. Haley Cisuanto, can you come on up? All right, Haley, what is your declamation on?
Hi, my declamation is about my experiences with Catholicism. I have been Catholic my entire life. In that time, I've undergone many rites of passage within the Catholic Church. Baptism, first reconciliation, first communion, first time questioning if I'm actually an atheist, second time questioning if I'm actually an atheist, etc., etc. But it isn't these official ceremonies that make me a real Catholic. It's the really odd and legally dubious experiences I've had that legitimize my religious practice. One of my earliest memories of the Catholic Church was around second grade. I remember being 7 years old, playing cool math games, learning multiplication tables, making turkey hands, and consuming alcohol for the first time at 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning. The underage drinking loophole I'm referring to is called First Communion. That's when the church teaches 8-year-olds how to consume the flesh and blood of our Savior, Jesus Christ, in the form of hard alcohol. You know, typical second grader activity. But now, as a high school senior, my biggest concern is no longer the tipsy tots, but the fact that the entire congregation shares wine from the same cup. I'm talking everyone and their mom is putting their mouth on that thing. That guy with the hot, smelly breath sitting way too close to your right is going to be putting his simultaneously dry and sticky lips all over that cup. But don't worry, they wipe the cup with a napkin between each person because that will get rid of mono. My next most memorable experience was when I was in the process of confirmation. That's when 8th graders commit independently and willingly to Catholicism, and not at all because their parents forced them to. One of the requirements of confirmation is to participate in an overnight retreat with no phones in the middle of the woods. The retreat began innocently enough, with the sun shining and parents hugging their reluctant children goodbye before driving away to freedom. But as soon as the sun had sank below the horizon and the last of the parents were gone, the retreat started to feel less like a peaceful overnight and more like the Last Supper for all of us. The 3 20-somethings that were running the whole thing started to put on a skit. It was simple enough. It was about a girl who goes to a party. And then Satan shows up at the party. She then starts getting beat with chains by Satan. I don't really remember much else about the skit or really what the point of it was. After that, they blindfolded us, bound us all in a line, and then led us through the dark woods. A metaphor for how God sometimes blinds you and then chains you to your peers and then leads you through the woods at night. But then there are some stories that aren't as funny and aren't as easy to understand. There are some teachings that can't simply be laughed off as a side effect of underfunded Sunday schools or generational disconnect. There are some experiences that drove me so far from Catholicism in a way I thought I could never come back from. The homophobia inflicted on teens within the church, and the internalized homophobia that comes from it. The preaching of abstinence and shaming of anyone who doesn't conform, and the abuse of altar servers. Someone in my youth group overdosing, and his funeral. I don't have internalized homophobia anymore, and I don't attend youth group anymore either. I don't believe in teaching only abstinence to students, and I do believe in giving people with unwanted pregnancies the right to choose, especially when abstinence-based sex education fails them. But these beliefs do not make me any less of a Catholic. Despite all of these stories, I still plan to be a Catholic for the rest of my life. I'm not choosing to ignore all the intolerant, hateful things that I have witnessed. It doesn't escape me how cruel and unbearable the Catholic Church can be. Trust me, I know. But I also know that reform doesn't come from giving up, and self-acceptance can't happen without letting go of resentment. I think it goes without saying that from all of these experiences, I've learned to always question my beliefs, no matter how ingrained they are in my way of thinking. But the more important lesson I've learned is not if I should question my beliefs, but how I should challenge them. Viewing the church with anger and resentment did drive me further away from all of its issues, but it also drove me further away from all of the people that could help me. I could only start seeking help and helping others after I let go of my own enmity with the church. So I implore you all to not be fooled by the false comforts of resentment and the walls it creates between you and the rest of the world, but rather to seek your own truth, and to do so not with anger or ignorance, but with understanding and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, Haley. And to close it up, our 12th grader, Emmy Vellante. All right, what's your declamation, Emmy?
My love life.
Way to close it.
Hi everyone, my name is Emmy, and this is the story of my love life. Maybe single is better. Growing up, most girls dream of finding their perfect prince or princess and living the classic happily ever after. However, my 6-year-old self had already started on the wrong foot. I was in 1st grade when I met my first crush. He was a year older than me, had luscious brown hair, played all the sports, and had tons of friends, or as many as you can have, in the 2nd grade at a small and disconnected private school in Riverview. I envisioned him with dreamy eyes, although I never got close enough to see them. And before we even had our first conversation, I was infatuated. I would text him sup on Kik every few days with occasional responses and surface-level elementary school conversation. I once missed a call from him at 7 a.m., and I did try to call him back with no response, of course. I was distraught. Only now do I realize my issue here is that I never once considered that it may have been an unintentional butt dial. I was simply in shock at the sight of a missed call on my phone for once. As one would assume, we lost all contact when I transferred schools after the 2nd grade, so I had to move on. I met my next love interest at the baseball field. Our brothers played for the same team, and I needed a way to ease the misery of the hot and prolonged tournament days, so I became friends with him. We would hang out at every baseball game and socialize with the other siblings. During a tournament in the Bahamas, we once spent an entire day at the Atlantis water park together. He sat with me at every post-game lunch and dinner, and we even started going to practices just to see each other. We were best friends. This is when I realized that I enjoyed his presence for a reason other than just to occupy my time, but this all seems promising, right? I thought so too. I had to endure yet another childhood heartbreak when I discovered that we had the same type. In other words, he played for the other team, not referring to baseball. Despite my Despite my already failing journey to find love, I persisted. When I was in 8th grade, I was convinced I had met the one yet again. This one ended abruptly when he was expelled from my school for a reason I am unable to share. I thought I might have better luck in high school. I dated a boy for a short period of time who blessed me with the gift of COVID. then dumped me while I was sick at home, already dealing with the resentment from my volleyball team and their families for having to stop the season for 2 entire weeks. Nevertheless, the show had to go on. The next one moved away for college, and we all know how that usually goes. And after one final go, I became tired of the cycle. Closing this chapter of my life, I've realized maybe it's best to press pause on my search for a prince. This is one of the most exciting periods of our lives, seniors, and one that I want to be entirely present for. Although I have learned a lot through my not always traumatic love life, I am not here to tell you that you don't need a partner to be happy or that I've learned to love myself through the process, but I will share some personal, hopefully some relatable, perks of being single. You get to watch movies that you want to watch. If I want to watch Clueless 3 nights in a row, I don't need someone to have a problem with that. The music you listen to is always yours. If I want to listen to the High School Musical soundtrack, I want to do so with zero concern for the boys' enjoyment. I don't care if you want to listen to NBA YoungBoy right now. It is not always the time for that. You get to take naps without telling someone you're taking a nap. There is no risk of waking up from a peaceful sleep with 15 missed calls and a breakup threat because you were dreaming about being in the Hunger Games. Yes, I did have that dream once. This goes along with responding to texts. If you don't want to, you don't have to. There is zero obligation to speak to anyone. On the other hand, there is no staring at your phone, anxiously awaiting a notification from that special person. I understand there is much to gain from finding a lifelong partner, but that is not the point of this message. As of right now, marriage is nowhere on my to-do list. When that time does come, however, please wish me luck. Thank you.
All right, can we give a big round of applause for all grade level declamation winners? I just want to say thank you to everyone here. It takes a lot of courage to come up and present in front of everybody. And without further ado, I'd like the middle school to be dismissed. Yeah. Guys, all together with Mr. Finland.